Grace's room. I hope you're all staying safe and healthy. Hope you guys are all finding things to do as well while you're stuck inside. I don't know why YouTube is turning off my comments on my videos, but let me know what you guys are doing on my Instagram, which is @Grace'sWorldOfficial. Alright, so I know I've done a lot of makeup tutorials in the past, but I just realized I've never actually done a natural makeup tutorial on just how to get like a natural makeup look. So I thought that today I would do it for any of you guys out there who are just starting to do makeup and want to learn like what products to use, how to use it, and like when to use it. So hopefully this is helpful to you guys. Let's get started. This makeup look is just a really good everyday makeup look. If you're going somewhere that's not too formal but you still want to look nice, then I recommend doing this makeup look. Alright, so the first thing that I like to do is go in with a primer. A primer is really good just as like a nice base for your foundation. It helps keep everything intact so it doesn't move around throughout the day, and it just helps everything stick together. So I like to use this. There's lots of primers you can get that kind of you get one like based on like your skin type. I like to use this one from Hourglass. It's the Veil Primer. It's really good for oil control because I do get quite oily on my face. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of this on around like my nose area, on my forehead, and just under my eyes here. Okay, so I've just rubbed that all into my skin. Now what I'm going to be doing is taking a tinted moisturizer. So honestly, if I was doing an everyday makeup look, I'm not going to use foundation. I feel like it makes myself look a little bit too cakey, and I like to use a tinted moisturizer just because it helps like smooth your makeup a little, like your face. It adds a little bit of a tint to it, but it's not too heavy, and it's also a moisturizer, so it's a little bit hydrating as well. If you don't have a tinted moisturizer, I've seen things that you can actually mix your foundation in with like a moisturizer you already have. So you could also do that as well if you don't have a tinted moisturizer, but I have this one from Laura Mercier, and it's oil free as well. So I'm just going to take a little bit and just dot it on my face. I don't want to like use too much because a little goes a long way with this product. Alright, and then just taking a buffer brush. I usually like to use this, I feel like brushes help kind of smooth things out with your makeup. You can use a beauty blender if you want to as well. It works just as well. For me, I like to use a foundation brush. Probably using a beauty blender will help speed things up as well because all the moisture will just help smooth it a lot easier. But like I said, I like to use a foundation brush. So I'm just going to blend that. When you're blending this as well, especially if you're using a foundation, make sure you always blend around your ears. You really want to even out the color, and also blend a little bit on your neck too, just in case like it's not exactly your foundation shade. It's always important to like blend around your neck, because then you can always tell if you have a foundation that's way too light or dark for you. Your neck and your face won't match up, so just make sure you're blending around there. Okay, so I finished blending that into my face. As you can see, it's very natural, doesn't look like too cakey, but it kind of adds a little bit of a tint to your face. Alright, so now for concealer, I like to use the Fit Me Concealer from Maybelline. It's very good. If you guys are wondering like what concealer to use, I recommend this one. It's very affordable and it's a good formula. So usually with concealer, if you're using it like I like to use it underneath my eyes and a little bit just on my forehead here. Use one that's a few shades lighter than your foundation shade, just because it helps highlight areas of your face. But if you're using the concealer to cover up blemishes, then use one that matches your foundation shade. So I have two different shades here, and I like to use the lighter one, like I said, just for a little bit under the eye. I always see people draw like really big triangles and they use a lot of concealer. Just use a little bit. You do not need a whole heap of it. So just take a little bit underneath the eye and then just a bit up here as well. And now since the tinted moisturizer doesn't really add a lot of like a really like very cakey layer to your face, usually you can still see a few blemishes through the tinted moisturizer. So I just use this one that matches my foundation shade, just a little bit on top of the blemishes that I want to cover up. Alright, and then just I like to use a small brush, especially for underneath the eye. I just feel like it kind of helps get into all like the little corners a lot easier. And then just blend it. Alright, so I just blended out the concealer and everything. Now what I'm going to be doing is taking a pressed powder. So this one here is from Rimmel. It's also a really affordable one. It's the Stay Matte pressed powder, and I like to use this just basically the places where I just applied the concealer. This just helps the concealer not decrease throughout the day and move around. It just keeps everything set in place. This is very essential, especially if you're using concealer. So I used a little bit on my nose, under my eyes, and I just kind of just lightly dust it. I see like a lot of people like bake, but that's when you're doing more of like a full face. Usually you bake with like a loose powder, but a pressed powder is just good if you're just lightly going over concealer. Sorry, I also forgot to say, this is usually what a powder brush looks like. It's kind of like thick going into like a little thin, I don't know how to describe it. This is usually like what a powder brush looks like. Okay, so I've just lightly dusted a bit of powder on my face. Now, you don't have to do this step. It's definitely not essential, but I usually like to do it just because it helps add a little bit more definition to your face. I like to use a bronzer. Like I said, it just kind of helps highlight features in your face, and it kind of creates a bit more color as well, because once you just have like one shade, like your foundation, you kind of want to add a bit more color to it. So I have this bronzer, and I'm just using a very fluffy brush. Just taking a little bit, try not to use a really dark one. Usually that's more of like a contour shade. Try to use one that's a little bit lighter, just so like, you know, if you make a mistake it won't be as noticeable as well. So what I like to do is take my big fluffy brush and I just go in circular motions around like underneath my cheekbone here. It's like I said, don't go too heavy with it, you only need a little bit. And the really good thing about the big fluffy brush is it just helps blend things like a lot easier and faster. If you're having trouble like finding where to put the bronzer, I recommend just going like kind of doing like a little kissy face with your mouth, and then it creates like that little shadow there, and so you know like where to do the bronzer. And then I also like to put a little bit on my forehead as well. If you ever feel like you've accidentally done a little bit too much bronzer on your face, I just like to go in with like a buffing brush, a buffing brush, and just kind of blend it a little bit where you feel like you've gone a little bit too overboard, just to help smooth things out. All right, so now this next part is optional. You can also use blush if you want to as well, if you like to have a bit more of a rosy if you like to have more like rosy cheeks, but I don't really like to use blush, so I'm gonna skip that bit. But if you feel like your face is looking a little bit too matte with all like the concealer and stuff, then I recommend using a highlighter. I have this one from Fenty Beauty. It's really pretty. And when you're using a highlighter, try and use one that matches your skin tone. So if your skin tone's lighter, then use one that's a lighter, obviously. And if you have like a darker skin tone, then maybe use one that's a bit more golden. I'm just going to be using a little bit of like this pinky shade, just on like my cheekbone here, on both sides. And then also take a little bit and just put it on your nose and the bridge of your nose. And then just a little bit on your chin and like here, your cupid, I think it's called your cupid's bow, is that right? So it just kind of adds like a little bit of highlight to your face and it makes it look really pretty and not too like matte. You look like glowy and stuff. This one here this is the Master Chrome highlighter from Maybelline, and I recommend this one if you're looking for one that's a little bit more affordable. As you can see, I've broken it. But it's really pretty and it's very pigmented and it's a really nice highlight. Okay, so we're getting to the final steps now. If you have quite short eyelashes like me, then you might want to put a bit of mascara on. Usually when you're putting on mascara, you always curl your eyelashes first, just so like you never like curl it after you put the mascara on. It just kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but when you put the mascara on after you curled it, kind of keeps the shape that you've like curled it in. I don't know, but I know that you're usually just supposed to curl it before you put the mascara on, so I'm just going to quickly do that. Okay, and then I have this mascara here. It's a Maybelline one. It's the Falsies Lash Lift, and this is a really good volumizing mascara. It kind of helps separate your lashes a little bit as well. Like some mascaras, they make your eyelashes look really clumpy and stuff, but this one's really nice and it helps lengthen your lashes as well. So when I'm putting on mascara, I usually just kind of like to wiggle it on my eyelashes. There we go. If you feel like one coat wasn't enough and it didn't really do much, you can always wait for this to dry and then do a second coat, but I'm quite happy with how one coat looks for me, so I'm just going to leave that. Now, if your eyebrows are like mine, they're a little bit like fluffy, then you might want to go in with a brow gel as well. I like to just use a little bit of a clear brow gel just to kind of help keep them like tame throughout the day, I guess, and so they don't like move around and everything. There we go. And now the last step is just lip gloss. I like to use this lip gloss from Clarins. It's really pretty. It's very glossy. It's very natural. If you don't want to use, I forgot to say, if you don't want to use lip gloss, that's totally fine. You could just use a lip balm. You don't have to use anything at all. But this lip gloss is really pretty. It just adds a natural little shine to your lips. I literally use this every single day. Even if I'm not wearing makeup, it's so pretty. And it also smells really nice too. There we go. So that is what I'd like to think of as a natural makeup look. Hopefully this is helpful to any of you guys as well that are just starting out with makeup and you want to know just like how to get a very like natural look without going too overboard, because I know like when I was first starting out with makeup, I used to see so many tutorials and it told me to use foundation and stuff, and I was like, what, whoa, how do I even do any of this? So hopefully this is helpful to some of you guys. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, I hope you can take something out of this. Make sure you guys stay safe and I'll see you guys next time on Grace's Room. Bye for now.